Corey Coleman and Jonathan Smith. Let's stand and say the pledge since allegiance. I'll forget this one.
Put down. Hand over heart.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any citizen concerns? Seeing none. Approval of prior month's minutes?
I have no objection.
No objection.
Okay, we'll set them out.
Present.
Present. This committee does not accept present as an option. It's either yes, no, or abstain.
No objection.
No objection.
I approve.
Acceptance of Hawthorne Plat 7.
Okay. This is a housekeeping matter that is required when the plat is ready for a developer to build homes on it and all of the infrastructure has been put in. We are at that stage for Hawthorne Plat 7 and we would like City Council or this committee to recommend to City Council that we accept Hawthorne Plat 7. You have with you in your legislation what we'll call Appendix A, the plat reference, which gives you the lots, the two roads, and then I included sort of the drawing so you can see it as well for your education.
And they have to meet our standards for approval.
They have to have gone through and gotten approved and had their punch list approved and everything else, yes.
And this isn't, they already annexed this to city.
Are they moving along as kind of scheduled?
I don't know the answer to that, I'm sorry.
Yes, Hawthorne is.
Okay. I just was curious
There
with
was
the.
no hiatus in building.
What was that? No hiatus. I figured, but with the lumber, I wasn't sure if some of those people would.
Summerfield and Canterbury,
They're just moving forward.
Is not impeding them putting up houses.
So our median home value is going to go up if we redid that. Okay.
And
I have no objection to approving.
So I do have a question. I know that this has been brought up here in some recent meetings, the land use plan study. With these plats, as they are these developments, I know that there's a certain amount of funds that either go towards park improvements or future park purchase, or they actually donate some of the property for actual use of a park. What is, with the Hawthorne one, how is, I'm assuming that they just donated the property from what I
I
recall.
believe,
Or not the property, but the funds.
I have to double check because with Hawthorne, remember we had that big land swap at the beginning of Hawthorne going in.
I don't know if I recall that.
And they acquired some land and they donated to us during that land swap. But I don't know if they did all of this green space up front at once as part of a land swap and the addition. If not, it would have to be, in this case, it has been a monetary donation.
Okay.
But I can verify with Roseland.
Just kind of curious too, on how much is still in those funds. If I recall correctly, it was around 300, 400,000 or something.
In the park fund, it's a mixture of funds, both from donations from developers, green space donations, as well as statutory income tax transfer that goes every year into the Park 404 fund, as well as just general transfers in from the general fund for projects that may or may not have happened. But I can get you that balance.
I swore there was a specific line item specifically for those funds, and they've just been sitting
I
there.
was just looking at our draft budget for next year, but I can shoot you an email.
Okay. I just know that that's something that we've had numerous people come up in town somewhere.
Like
Green space.
Summerfield, though, Summerfield donated land, Canterbury donated land. Coventry, let me take that back. Coventry Point donated land, I'm not sure if Summerfield did. And that's at the, Paulson Financial Planning Commission.
Okay. That's all I have. Otherwise, I don't have any issues with this. It's
What,
pretty routine.
when they donate land, is it, I would assume it's generally adjacent to or within the
Yes,
subdivision
it's
itself?
considered a subdivision, for instance, Mark Rich in Canterbury donated the land that the multi-use path is on, and that's gonna wrap around.
Yeah.
His subdivision of the school, he donated that as part of his green space, as well as sometimes green space around, like detention ponds for like a mini park.
Right.
Perhaps, like, I know if you go to Saddle Brook, they have like that interior green
Right.
space. That was a developer's green space.
Okay, and does their HOA keep up on that stuff, or is that something the
For Saddle
city?
Brook, that is true, but for.
But they're not
for
technically
all-
city,
yes,
are
for
they?
all of
I
it,
think
as
they
long
were
as the
city.
HOA is not involved.
Okay.
I thought
Yeah, Saddlebrook's
Brooklyn
township.
is Middleton Township, I think, so.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yes.
But I do like hearing that the land's being donated for the multi-use path, because I think that's one of the things this land use plan is emphasizing, is having more connectivity and utilizing that, especially through these developments, to be able to have these paths to help people to be more mobile, whether it's bike or
Right. No, I definitely like the donation plan for that purpose specifically, because it helps with accessibility.
But the point that I wanted to just bring that back around to is that we really don't have too many parks out in the western
Yes.
side of the town. I know
You're
that
right, there's,
Doug Pratt has donated his property back to the Wood County Park District, but who knows when that's really gonna happen.
Right.
And there is that need. We have the property off of Cove Court that is designated a park now, over by Cove Court, but we still don't have too much further out west.
Well, and I live out in the sanctuary now, and
There's nothing there.
there's nothing there.
And I think we should.
Well, yeah. It's one of those things that, yeah, I wish there were green space within the subdivision itself.
but they do have some nice.
Oh, yeah, I'm not
Sidewalks.
complaining about the makeup out there.
I just want to point out again that we still don't really have too much, we really don't have anything west of Hall Prairie.
Right.
Yeah,
We should have something that we could potentially develop east of Hall Prairie around Cove Court, just off of Cove Court back there, where there's still development going on.
Yeah.
But I really would think that it would be a great idea to have the administration continue to keep an eye out for something that could potentially come on sale
Yeah.
further out.
Somewhere near Hall Prairie would be really nice, honestly.
yeah.
With where, between that roundabout and River Road, I don't know how developed that is, but if there was ever an opportunity, that'd be a nice place for some sort of preserve.
Potential places
Yeah.
out there, but it's just something I always want to keep in
Yeah.
the administration mind while I got you here, and didn't have an opportunity to talk at rec this month on that, but this is a great segue into it.
And speaking of segues, we were recommended to send this on to council, but one of the things you hear is complaints against us approving these and the impact upon the school board and the school district. We really don't have a choice.
It's the way it's zoned, and that's what's
Right,
going on
it
there.
meets the zoning. We cannot, to quote Corey, allow someone to develop within the zoning the way they want to their property for sale. I just want to make that clear, whether or not we agree with how it affects the school districts. It's not anything we can control through this type of thing.
Well, to a certain extent, but it's.
To a certain extent.
Honestly, my position is I know these subdivisions are going up faster than it seems you can
Yeah.
keep up with, but at the same token, you have families that have owned this land that have
Right.
used it in a non-city zoned area for a long time, and I think we would be grossly misguided to prevent these people from capitalizing on the value of the land.
That's
the-
exactly what I'm saying.
The one thing, and to make point as well from conversations we've had here, is that if I recall correctly, it's about 10 years, most of this property will be developed, at least a residential area will be fully developed within the city, and there's nothing more that would be added within the city limits itself.
Right.
So,
I just want to address that because we hear it all the time, and we kind of have our hands tied versus freedom of the property owner to be able to sell their property as sees fit, as long as it meets zoning requirements, and us approving it, our hands are tied, so other than that, I have no problem sending it out.
Well, the best thing we can do for tax revenue is try to come up with areas that are going to be commercially developed and industrial that help complement.
For the,
Exactly.
and the other aspect as well that the schools tend to pay a little bit more attention to is if it's multifamily versus single family.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And
But I'm good with moving forward.
I am too. I'm just making this clear because it keeps coming up. Our hands are tied. All we can do is make sure they're meeting our requirements. Fourth thing on the agenda is a review of driveway sidewalk contractors bond. I sent this to you, well, I got it from Jonathan Smith, because he brought it to my attention. And I don't know when's the last time the bond has been reviewed?
I'm not sure what you mean about being used.
Reviewed,
Oh, review.
Yeah.
Well, the code section.
Passed by 8 of 1979.
yeah,
There you go.
because for one thing,
I was born.
thank you for pointing that out, I used to like you.
Do I know what Corey was born?
I was
So,
-8.
so I'm thinking 3,000 is much too low nowadays with the cost of concrete and repairs and labor hours. And,
Do we have,
review of
I was actually
timeline.
more curious how often we are having these bonds required and actually reaching out to, because what really brought it up, and I think I've mentioned this to you, Bridget, a couple times when I've been out running, that there's been obvious repair work done in the right-of-way, and a small section of sidewalk was torn out, and what's left behind is gravel. And it's been that way for quite a while without any repairs being made. And obviously that's a big safety hazard that those aren't being done, and affects the walkability and I believe what the goal of council is to continue to enhance that walkability and the pedestrian traffic within our community. But the longer that these don't go repaired, the harder that is to continue to achieve that final goal.
Our planning and zoning needs to be happening every single time somebody's replacing driveways and or sidewalk.
Did you read this? They have 3 years to do that.
That was one of the things. They have
that's
3 years to
long.
do it, but if they receive notice, if I saw it correctly, from the city, they have 48 hours within that notice to make the repairs. Am I incorrect in?
No, it's well, I don't know. It's
Because it's stated on one of these that after being given the 48 hours notice in writing by the service safety director,
that's
which we have service safety director in one, which is not
That's a,
position anymore.
So
that's a code section that we're gonna be reviewing.
Okay. This is actually on the actual bond form itself.
It says
That said repairs are necessary and then obligate, so,
and this is mainly for
within. 3
for
years.
shoddy work that kind of appears over time, I would assume, the 3 year.
Yeah, well, the other question I have, because there's a separate excavation bonds of 10,000.
That's for streets, yes. That's for street improvements and excavations and right away.
And then there's the 10,000 sewer tapper bonds. Oops, I hit the wrong button here. Sorry. I'm trying to actually pull up the bond forms.
You have, well, not the forms, but the legislation's in front of you.
Oh, is it? Okay, I see that.
oh,
Look at the name of it right.
Because once they do work in the right of way, it's making sure that they go back and actually make those repairs, whether it's a sewer line work, water line work. Let's say that sewer collapses in someone's yard, they need to bring a plumber in to make the repairs. Many times they may have to completely take that sidewalk out, put that back in.
Within the course of bringing an excavator.
Yeah, and the other point of that is, sometimes they bring heavy equipment over the curb, they damage the curb. That could be a potential cost to the taxpayers. I really think it would behoove us to make certain that either we have the right costs in there, or we have the right bonds and set up to ensure that they make those repairs within a timely manner, so that way it's not a burden on the taxpayers, especially with $50,000 we just added to the sidewalk fund. We want to make sure that's going to legitimate repairs, not repairs that were made in the course of another project that they should have already put in, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and
I don't think I have anything to add to what you just said.
I agree. Other than the dollar amount, because it's negligible.
So what action, I guess?
I think it's a good idea to review and find out what the cost
Right.
is from the administration.
We'll go on from there.
I will say that this whole section, both the sidewalk, driveway, curb cut, and the street improvement section needs to be looked at in totality. Because there's insurance in here as well, as probably 20 years old as well.
Yeah.
Or more. So what we can do is, we can pump utilities. We have a game plan on tackling our code sections. We're almost done with personnel, and then we're moving on to utilities. But these are two small sections, and so we can take a look at these jointly, and maybe come back at the next service committee with some recommendations based on what our neighbors are doing, ODOT, what our insurance company says.
And I think this kind of, like, this section and these bonds kind of go in line with what we talked about in planning and zoning with that pool bond, where if people are performing
And we
work.
can pull out that section, because that's
Yeah.
probably different as.
So if all that syncs up and makes like cohesive, that would be just excellent. To where, hey, if you're coming into Perrysburg and you're performing some sort of work within our city limits, and it's gonna be estimated that you're charging more than, say, $20,000 for that work, you gotta be bonded. And
We can have, look at it across and make it as consistent
Has-
as we can.
Has the city ever thought about having a just overall blanket contractor's bond or required to do work
I
within the city?
have not had that ever brought up.
Okay, I know there's a few communities that do those, so we've issued some of those at our
Well, we
office.
have, within certain construction projects, there's another set of bonds
Yeah,
that is consistent across the board in all of our bidding documents.
Well, you have
but
to have-
that would be just the typical bid and performance bond, but a contractor bond is just more of making, it's kind of like a performance bond, that they're going to abide by the code. If they don't, the bond can be used to fix a project that they were working on with the homeowners or something to that effect. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that we've done a lot around the Columbus area, and I think the Detroit area.
But this is for residential or?
It's just in order to be a licensed contractor within a certain municipality to do
Oh,
work.
yes, we do not have license.
Yeah.
Contractor.
Some of them will have licensed contractors that they have to submit evidence of insurance, and then they also have to have a bond in
We
place.
have a licensure program right now. The problem is that we don't have the staff. for
Yeah,
it.
I understand.
To maintain that and to supervise it and to go out and check that people are performing to your standards would require probably a whole new division.
Well, and I'd say by some of those standards, I guess what I was looking at more on the bonding side is easier because it'd be part of the permit process anyways. That if it's not within the permit purview, that it's going to, or within the actual code, the setbacks and everything else, speak of the pools,
Yep.
that the contractor has to fix it, otherwise the bond pays out.
That-
And I can tell you,
I understand what you're saying there. It wouldn't be, it would be a general contractor bond, but it wouldn't be based off of licensure from the city. It would be based off of performance. And I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying there. Yeah, we can.
there's some different options. And I can tell you personally, and I'm sorry, from my experiences, once you have a bond paid out, it's pretty difficult to get another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's honestly what we're going through, and I think some of the issues that Brody talked about when we were talking about the pools, where there's just certain contractors that they don't pull the permits like they're supposed to. And it would be great if we had a list of bonded contractors for projects that require a permit and are gonna be construction above an X amount. our required bond, and these are the ones that are bonded with the city, it'd be great if that was listed somewhere.
Then we're not picking and choosing winners.
Yeah, correct. We're not doing a due diligence study for you. We're like, these are the people that are bonded with the city and understand and have acknowledged that they've reviewed our code and are going to be compliant with it, or they forfeit bond.
Them.
Yeah, I would like to see that, especially for projects like that. In-ground pool was an absolute mess if we would have had to take that to litigation. Or tear it up. But really, because there's not a bond with the city, we have empty threats to threaten the contractor who was really at fault there, in my opinion. It would be nice to have an extra set of tools to go after them.
You could kind of like just say to work within the city limits of Perrysburg, you have to have a bond.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to have, because you don't want every project, so someone that's coming into town to plant trees
Right.
or put up fences or things like that, they'll need to pull a permit and they'll need to
Yeah.
do work,
You'd be
but.
surprised at the different types of communities. Some
Yeah.
of the stuff you mentioned, I've seen bonds for those.
Yeah, which is, like, I'm not saying I'm
But
necessarily
usually what
aggressive
happens with
about
that is because there was a problem and the community had to create a way
Yeah,
to solve that issue.
so I think we're kind of getting there with what Brody said with some of that.
Yeah.
If the homeowner chooses not to comply.
Well, then it falls back on the homeowner at that.
at the same
Yeah.
Or they put a fence up and don't realize that.
Well, you can have a homeowner who does the work themselves, which.
Well, those are at least the ones where if you go to court, the judge isn't in a spot where they're like, I'm not making someone dig up a $100,000 pool because it's 5 feet to the left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's different to have someone tear down a fence as opposed to dig
Yeah.
up concrete, poured
No, I
concrete.
agree.
So,
Well, the last time I saw someone try to hand dig a pool, they found a caveman in it.
Pauly Shore was great.
Yeah, that's right.
In that reenactment.
At least someone got the reference.
Who's Pauly Shore? I'm just teasing. Okay, so we all agreed on.
Yeah, and I actually have one thing for other business, but it kind of relates to the
Okay,
sidewalk.
go ahead.
It would be great if we let that sidewalk program, phenomenal. It sounds like that the foam lifting and everything's going really well, which is great. One thing I think we should potentially do is, and I don't know the tactful way to do that. I honestly view it as what's her name? Shannon?
Shannon Solt.
Shannon? Is it Shannon? Okay. Her job to kind of figure out the best way to. One of the things I read while we're doing this work, which I'm well aware that a homeowner's responsible for the maintenance and construction of their sidewalk. I don't necessarily know that everybody knows that. So this project's being funded and sidewalks are being lifted. And I'll just give you an example.
You have to at least once put something on social media.
Okay. Yeah, well, it would be nice if there was somewhat of so here's the comment I read online was, my sidewalk my sidewalk finally got fixed after 10 years of being 4 inches uneven. And I was thinking, that's the exact opposite response than we should be getting. It should be like, hey, the city came out and fixed it's great that our city is budgeting so that homeowners don't have to privately budget.
I don't think homeowners realize in any other city they live in, they're paying for that repair.
Or that it goes to a special
Technically,
assessment.
they are paying the repair anyways through their tax dollars, but.
No, like more, like.
But,
yeah,
Right,
they're
assess it.
Outside, we're budgeting for it and
Right,
trying to make good.
and we would assess them. We're not assessing them.
So it would be and I read that comment, I'm thinking, well, it's a shame that person doesn't understand that was their responsibility for 10 years and the city's coming to their rescue by not charging them to do that, which I think it's great that we do that. I'm glad he noticed. But if we could somehow get the proper.
Because I know that something was put out on the website under service as well as Shannon putting something out.
Yeah.
Social media.
And I think it was to make people aware that they might see city workers outside of sidewalks repairing. And I don't know what kind of notice we give those homeowners. But even if we're going to perform work on the sidewalk in front of people's I would assume we make them aware that there might be service people out there or
The contractor, as he gets to different neighborhoods.
Yeah, it would honestly be great that literally if you put, hey, it's your lucky day somewhat. Like, the city has decided that you qualify for our, you know, sidewalk repair program for this year.
Oh,
And
yeah.
instead of it being your responsibility under
And
ORC
you being
or,
assessed.
you know, this chapter or
And
this
you
part of the
being
charter, and you being assessed for this fix, the city's got your back, or, you know, it's just something subtle, yeah. Yeah, just something subtle that it's like, oh, well, shoot, I didn't even know that was my responsibility. I'm really glad I live here, rather than it being the opposite.
Right, because you know in any other town, you're gonna pay for that.
Well, I know, I sent out those special assessment letters.
Listed by street trees or utilities, right?
There are only certain sidewalks that we look at depending on how we think it was heat
Yeah,
or if it was cracking during construction. Well, we have a criteria sheet
Right.
that's put out there of how we make the determination if we're gonna replace it and or if we will.
which is fine. It just would be like, this gentleman got his sidewalk fixed, which was his responsibility, and I understand he pays taxes. It would be nice if he understood that's not really common in every city.
No, we can certainly, we can do that. And I know John Eckel did that as well.
Yeah.
John Eckel even had a hotline to call in
Yeah.
on those that were grossly out
Yeah.
of whack. This person I've ever really went for is
Yeah, I honestly am trying to recollect the quote. All I know is I read it and I'm just like, darn it, this is us doing, I think it's our department's going above and beyond in budgeting for something that we don't necessarily have an obligation to budget for. And it's a nice thing that we do. It should, you would hope those things would be well received. So I think it's about
We
making,
would hope.
yeah, to me, it's an opportunity to provide more information, I guess, in potentially a subtle
We can
way.
make sure we're doing that on a routine basis.
So, yeah, I think the notice that goes out from the contractor, if we include something in that might be
I was just thinking
perfect.
as we're wrapping up the season, Rob has been keeping track of all the steps lifted and or replaced. And maybe we do a recap, reminding people that this took place at city expense
Yeah.
versus homeowner expense and code. We
Yeah.
can come up with some nice messages.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
And because we have an engineer who could do this, it wouldn't take more than 2 minutes to get a guesstimate of how many feet it would have cost if the homeowner.
Rob has the exact amount.
Oh, well then, yeah,
He gets a weekly report from the contractors.
yeah.
And then by grouping it all together, we save,
Yeah.
our
Okay, anything else?
I do, I just wanted to follow up on the recycling program. Have we had any other complaints? I appreciate the stickers on there. It's a big help as a reminder. I will stop every time before I throw something in if I'm uncertain. Does this fit in here? Does this fit in here? Does this fit in this category? And if not, I throw it in the trash. But I just wanted to see how that's going. Are we getting any fees? Are they still going up?
Yeah,
Or
we had the first, bumpy, stretch road that we went, but now it seems to be very routine. And actually, I was gonna ask Rob this week if he can give me the latest on the glass recycling,
Mhm.
because they've been keeping track of that tonnage separately, just to see how that's going. But I know that OI has been pleased with the turnout that they either received directly from us or just citizens in general dropping off.
that would be me as one of them. The only kind of comments I've received from a few people is regarding the city drop-off. I believe that closes at 3:30?
Closes, yes, on the building.
Is there anything that we could do to have that unlocked longer and close at, say, 7 or 8? Just because I know for
I
myself.
don't know, because it really needs to be manned, because if it's not manned, you would not believe what people drop off.
Oh, that's.
Do people really, do we have someone that's really watching that to see what they put in there?
Yes, yeah, one of the window spaces directly out there, she will get up and run out and make people put stuff back in the new.
Okay. Because I'm just wondering if there's something more that we could do to, whether it's just leaving it unlocked for a couple hours. I know people.
I can talk to Rob, but our challenge is
You
even
put a
during-
camera on there?
Even during COVID, people would bring anything and everything and try to dump it.
What's BG Recycling Center do for their 24-hour drop-off?
I do not know, but Judy Hagan would know, I can
Okay.
ask her.
Because I would imagine they get everybody's license plate, and then there's some sort of civil penalty, probably, or criminal penalty that's plastered on the doors.
So we don't have
I
any
guess.
cameras out in that
Yeah.
location, to be able to follow up on that, but I can certainly talk to Rob and Pat.
You
It's
know,
just that we don't want our workers to come in and then have to dig through broken glass
Well,
to take out other
yeah.
garbage.
Well, it's overtime and liability.
I I think the last time I've been there, that they actually are closing it at night, and you have to go during the day. And it's
MDG?
usually,
It's been a long time.
yeah, it's usually somebody who's working there sorting
Now,
stuff.
the township may have, some that's open, Perrysburg Township.
Yeah.
I don't know that they close theirs off.
Yeah.
At the end of their work there.
I just would love to see if there's something a little longer, because I know with my work schedule, I can never make it there during the day unless for whatever reason I'm off, and I'm sure that there's a lot of other residents who are in similar situations as I am that would love to have the opportunity to be able to take something during the day that they may just end up throwing in the trash just because they don't have an opportunity to run something over there. So just a thought on that one, and then I was going to also bring up the trash over at collection. Of it. We had that conversation. There wasn't enough overtime to go out and on Labor Day weekend. Hoping we see that. So just to
So they go out every day, even on the weekends. They're out for 2 hours, 3 hours, doing all the parks every weekend.
okay.
And every day picking up trash. We've ordered some new garbage receptacles to put over at Rotary, as well as we're looking at a way to secure perhaps a recycling toter, so that
That'd be
maybe we
great.
can reduce some of what's
Yeah.
going in the trash receptacle.
That's kind of where I was going to go to see if there's some way to
Perfect.
that.
So we're looking at that, but it sounded like there was some amount of limited space along the fence, so they were taking a look at how they can make that happen.
Bridget, do you know if they do they keep track of, so what I noticed when I was at Rotary over Labor Day is, of course, the one inside the park is overflowing, the one outside the fence area, but pretty close, is full, and then as you get further away, there's other trash cans that are just not in use, basically.
Yes.
Do they keep track of that kind of thing so they can place a trash can elsewhere if it's not receiving a ton of traffic? Like to optimize where they're set?
I know what you're saying, but I don't know for Rotary if that's, I mean, because we want to keep them in the locations that don't appear to be
Right.
well used, because those are on the other side where there's soccer or rugby
Right.
going on, so we want them over there. But we are looking at placing more, but we also don't want to, have to bring in a dumpster.
Yeah, right. And
Somehow we have to limit the amount of.
and I know it's an anomaly because Labor Day people are going to the parks, but the
Well,
sporting
even after Labor Day, it looks like there's a lot of people who are bringing their lunch specifically to
Yep.
Rotary's inclusive playground.
Yep.
Instead of eating lunch and going to the playground, it's like they're making the picnic out.
Right.
It's a great playground.
So we're just trying to find a way to
Well, and I can tell that the
minimize
trash,
what's going in the receptacle, maybe we
Yeah.
can do that by recycling as well.
because when I was there, I literally almost took one of the trash bags from one of the other ones and put it in the one that was
And
overflowing.
see, I'm not sure why people would go and try and balance trash on top of trash. I would just.
It may not be
take
people, it may be kids, or
What I saw was.
and just say, you know what, I don't want to.
The picture I saw was a pair of kids' shoes, lots of Starbucks coffee cups were half empty.
Hey,
half full,
kid, you'd be surprised how many kids are doing
And
Starbucks.
McDonald's bags. I mean, but they're getting to the park somehow, they're driving there.
Yeah.
But instead of not setting it on the ground, they should be taking it away, I guess, in my bag. But
Yeah,
Well, if they have 3 kids,
especially when there's 3 more trash cans in sight. I know it's.
and I'm gonna say, let's say you have 3 kids, 2 of them don't want to leave. You're trying to drag them out. I'm not saying that I know anyone with 3 kids like this. That you may just say, you know what, I don't have time to run the other ones. I'm trying to hold one down, trying to get the other one buckled in. And what am I going to do with this trash? There's a trash can there. I can't run away from the other one because as soon as I leave, they're going to buckle and run back in.
That's
And
what-
again, people look at options,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's the highest and best use of time to pay somebody overtime to go every 2 hours. Say that the trash.
And I understand that. And
I mean, that's $100 and some dollars.
no, I just know that this is a great problem to have the conversation on
Yeah,
because
it is.
it's something that's heavily used. And the weather worked out perfectly that day because it was a beautiful day. I was over there earlier before you were.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't
But
change that
also,
trash
you
bag
have
is
to
because of
think
bees.
It's quite often most days of the week.
Yeah.
It's
You're
very
finding
busy.
There's a lot of parents or one parent bringing their kids in and bringing lunch and coffee. I mean.
Yep.
there's-
It's always
there's,
clean.
There's signs there that say no food or drink in there, correct?
You
I'm
gotta
just-
look for voluntary compliance.
Yeah, I understand. And-
Well, I almost feel like the message, though, part of the message I feel like with that sign is people are throwing away their food and drink,
And then.
that they're carrying like, well, I'm almost done with it, and they get rid, because I have not
That's
seen
true.
people walking around that park with food or drink, really. Well,
I'll have a bottle.
other than the people, you know, with their.
I may have a water bottle with me.
Yeah, that's really what you see, or you see a 7-Eleven a cup with a straw.
And Ryan's still waiting on his signs to arrive that say no food
Yeah.
or inside, I mean, those are still on order. So he's still waiting for those, and once they come in, we'll fix those to the gates.
Mhm.
And then again, you, look for voluntary compliance.
Yeah.
I just want to I appreciate you guys are looking into that and find some other unique solutions. It's something that I know I've seen, Corey's seen, and I think we were both texting, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you guys looking into that.
Yeah, well, the reason we text that stuff, or I text, I think is we're not complaining. It's, we know you guys are good at fixing the problem, so.
Is actually getting a small dumpster, and that's not
Yeah.
very attractive.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Nothing else for me on.
Okay, anything else?
I can if you guys want to go all day, but I'm sure no one wants to be here any longer. Okay.
He
Let's
does.
see here. I'm still here for even after 6:30, so I don't. The only one who has to leave is Corey over there.
Yeah.
So.
I don't have,
Honestly, I really don't have too much. I really appreciate the conversation and the discussion we've had.
And I didn't mean it like.
No, I got it.
No, yeah.
So.
But they do a good job. When I was out there with the Dave's group using the parks and coaching, I mean, they do a very good job at cleaning. We were there on Tuesday and Thursdays. And when we got there, they were always finishing up, cleaning on both those days. So they do a good job of cleaning the restrooms. So, okay, if nothing else, we'll adjourn.
All right.
All
right, dude.
And the food.
You can have
But
it.
yeah,
I got plenty of them.